Chapter 7 of The Art of War. In chapter 7, they talk about maneuvering. Sun Tzu said, in war, the general receives his commands from the sovereign. Having collected an army and concentrated its forces, he must blend and harmonize the different elements thereof before pitching his camp. After that comes tactical maneuvering, in which there is nothing more difficult. He also says that the difficulty in tactical maneuvering consists of turning the devious into the direct and turning misfortune into gain. Thus, to take a long and secure route after enticing the enemy out of the way, and also those that follow behind him, to contrive to reach the goal before him, shows skills in deviation. Maneuvering with an army is advantageous, but doing so with an undisciplined multitude is most dangerous. Some of the first things that stand out for me here is you cannot tactically maneuver to a certain location if there's no location set in the first place. Where will you arrive if no destination has been set? What goal will you achieve if no goal has been set? On top of that, a location, a destination, or a goal is much more achievable in a group. It's much more achievable with a group that's got adequate resources, adequate information, and discipline than it is for one man to do so alone. If you want to not only survive, but you also want to thrive, then you have to become a general. You have to become a leader. A general with no army is destined for failure. A lot of people might say, yes, but it's difficult to get people to follow you. No, it's actually not. Find a better way of doing life, finances, business, whatever, and then show people, inspire them, uplift them, and then they will follow you. If you don't have an army yet today, then start building one today. Go and build one. It's possible. I just told you how to do that. There is strength in unity. It's difficult to cancel 10 or 15 people. It's not that difficult to cancel one guy. It's difficult to deplete the resources of 15 or 100 or 200 people. One guy, that's easy. Strength plus unity equals freedom and victory. We've seen this a whole bunch of times. A couple of strong, united, capable, informed, and disciplined people together in unity can change the world. Sun Tzu said, let your plans be dark and impenetrable as night. You will cripple yourself by sharing your strategies with people that can't strategize, by sharing prosperous thoughts with poverty-struck minds, by sharing courageous ideas with cowardice hearts, by sharing big dreams with small minds. They have a fearful, short-sighted, lacking view of themselves and the world. When you share the opposite idea or views with them, they will try to convince you of their views. They're going to try and bring you over to the dark side. This will only break your momentum. Trust me when I tell you this. I've been through this. It will only break your momentum and waste your resources. Keep it dark and impenetrable as night. In chapter 7 of The Art of War, Sun Tzu says, when you capture new territory, cut it up into allotments for the benefit of the soldiery. Why? Number one, to reward them. I could not have built my companies, my empire, the property portfolio, the assets that we have. I could not have built that if it wasn't for my team. So hence, I reward them for our achievements, for their achievements, and for their production. Number two, to retain them. If I give them a share of the empire, the resources, the land, then it becomes theirs as it is mine. Obtaining it is the first step. Keeping it is the second step, and a lot of times more difficult. People will fight, live, and die for a kingdom if it is theirs to fight for in the first place. You would not do that for somebody else's kingdom. But if you own a piece of that kingdom, then it is yours to fight for, just like the rest that own a piece in that kingdom. This will promote stability, strength, and security. In chapter 8 of The Art of War, Sun Tzu says, in war the general receives his commands from the sovereign, collects his army and concentrates its forces. There are certain paths that should not be taken, certain armies that should not be attacked, certain positions that should not be contested, and certain commands from the sovereign which should not be obeyed. For example, I can go on a path now to probably make 10 times the money that I'm making right now, but I'll probably neglect my body and my family. You understand? The path is too dangerous It's too risky. The potential cost of that path is too expensive for me. The price to pay is too expensive. The cost will be greater than the gain. So that's probably a path that I shouldn't take. If I adhered to all the commands of the people closest to me, all my advisors, if I literally took all of their advice and I took action on it, then we'd probably be bankrupt by now. And there wouldn't be a kingdom left to manage in the first place. Their advice is valued, yes, but I am still responsible to read the terrain, to focus on our objectives, to focus on our goals, and how we can navigate towards it with the resources that we have, whilst at the same time keeping the risk and the cost of doing so low. The basis of my moves cannot be dependent on 10 different people's views and thinking. I must analyze the information and then, whilst utilizing that, rely on my own thinking. I cannot go and buy my wife her dream car and dream house because that's what she wants, the sovereign, whilst jeopardizing my people and our organization. We need to be stoic, not stupid. Speaking of stupid, Sun Tzu also mentions the 5 most dangerous faults that a general can fall prey to. Number 1 is recklessness, which leads to destruction. When you disregard the potential consequences or dangers associated with your actions, that is not brave. It means you didn't think, right? And usually people that don't think, we call those people stupid. So reckless, number 1, is to be stupid. Number 2 is cowardice, which leads to capture. When you are timid, easily intimidated, you are anxious, extremely fearful, then people and organizations will capture your mind. Sometimes you are the person that puts yourself in that prison, the prison of fear. You are too scared, too meek, too timid to take action, to do what is right. That's how other people or organizations or institutions or whatever, that's how the world can capture your mind and capture your freedom. I'd rather die free than live as a slave. At least that will inspire people, right? Fear does not inspire. Nobody is inspired by fear. People are inspired by courage and action, doing the right thing, being brave, even though you are scared, but still doing the right thing, even though you are frightened. Third fault, a hasty temper, which can be provoked by insults. People with a hasty temper are insecure. They are unsure of themselves and they feel this deep desire or obligation to prove themselves to the world or other people. If I can spark up doubt or anger in you, then I can effectively blind you. And if I can blind you, to a certain extent, I can actually control you. I can poke you here, then I know you're going to do that. If I poke you there, then I know you're going to act that way. So then I can become the puppet master. Fourth fault is a delicacy of honor, which is sensitive to shame. Let the foundation of your honor and your self-esteem, let that foundation be truth. Your value and your character is determined by you and by truth, not by the thoughts or opinions of other people. Fourth fault is over-solicitude for his men, which exposes him to worry and trouble. The well-being of your people should be a going concern, and yes, it needs to be something that you care about, but it's not your top priority. The kingdom, its security, growth, key influencing factors and individuals, that is my priority. The kingdom and its future is more important than my issues, my feelings, or the things that I need and want. There's no time to feel sad or broken about something. No time and energy available to be spent on pondering the past and issues that we've had, mistakes that we've made. If one of my people shoot themselves in the foot, whose bloody fault is that? I'll take responsibility to cultivate an environment and a culture to hopefully help you make better decisions, but to a certain extent. I can't think for you. I can't do that on your behalf. At some point, you need to come to the party. And if you screw up, if you make mistakes in your life, I can help you to a certain extent, but I can't make it work for you. And I can't make your problems disappear. At some point, every man needs to realize that he has his future in his own hands. Every woman has her future in her own hands. I can't protect my child and everybody that I have, my family, everybody I love. I can't protect them from everything that can hurt them. And if I try and do that, then I will destroy myself. I've actually seen this play out. I will destroy myself and the things and people that I try to protect. There will be losses, there might be pain, there might be struggles, but the goal in this dimension is not to avoid it, but to endure it. And while enduring it, excel. I'm going to say that again. The goal in this dimension is not to avoid pain and struggle. It is to endure it and still excel. In chapter 9 of The Art of War, Sun Tzu speaks about the army that's on the march. He says we come now to the question of encamping the army and observing the enemy. Who is the enemy? My enemy is poverty, small-minded thinking, stagnation, laziness, etc. Therefore, I must pursue wealth, truth, growth, and tasks that will strengthen me. And not just me, my people as well. He says one must pass quickly over the mountains and keep in the neighborhood of valleys. Camp in high places that faces the sun and do not climb heights in order to fight. Get over obstacles. Get over the past. Get over the issues. Not just in real time and physically, but emotionally. Get over the trauma. Leave the mountains behind you instead of dragging them emotionally, dragging them with you the whole time. It's unnecessary weight. Keep in the neighborhood of valleys, the neighborhood of fresh, new ideas, the neighborhood of positivity, green pastures, in the neighborhood of prosperity. Where are you mingling? Where are you camping with your mind, with your heart? And with who are you camping there? He says camp in high places facing the sun. Participate and camp in elevated conversations where there is positivity, where there is open-mindedness. When you mingle with people that are facing growth and marching towards prosperity. Something that also stood out for me is he mentioned that one should scout the terrain, especially if you're in certain areas. He talks about certain terrains and areas where you should scout. The moment you enter into the unknown, whether it's a conversation, an industry, or a joint venture or whatever, observe, analyze, and search for advantages and disadvantages for not only you, but for both parties, all the parties involved. You've got to search, scout for the intentions of these people, the agendas. Look in all the places which are not so obvious. So we scout the conversation, the deal, the industry, collect as much information as possible, and then identify and cover our blind spots. If this is your standard approach in life or in business, and you can strictly adhere to it, then you will drastically decrease the likelihood of you being attacked or ambushed or deceived. Every time I got the short end of the stick in life, it was because I didn't stick to my standard procedure, my standard approach. I cannot change the fact that there is ill-intentioned people out there. Obviously, nobody can do that. But I can learn how to spot them and then choose to avoid them. The lessons in this chapter speaks a lot to me about observing groups, right? Not just other groups, even your group, groups of people. It also speaks about how a great leader manages his people, the do's and don'ts when it comes to a group of people. You can tell a lot about people by observing them. Their actions and their behavior leaves clues to their state of mind, the environment that they find themselves in, and even their circumstances. When you pay attention to this and you read them, you can actually see the bigger picture. You can be more informed, you can handle these people better, and if necessary, capitalize on their state of mind or their circumstances or their behavior. And now when it comes to your people, you still need to have the ability to read them, but now you also have the responsibility on top of that to influence and guide them. I need to set the atmosphere, build trust, cultivate discipline, inspire growth, accountability, excellence, and honor. In other words, if you do good, your people will do good. If you crumble, your people will crumble. To fail at this and to plead uninformed, ill-equipped, or overwhelmed is a luxury for victims. I choose to be a predator, a leader. And when you choose the same, it will give your life purpose and meaning. And on top of that, your ability to conquer and to create something special for you and your family is just going to increase when you go and get a whole bunch of people to actually follow you. But nobody's going to follow you if you're a victim. People follow predators, right? Leaders. People want to be led by a lion, not a goat.